All right, guys, welcome to episode 3 of SPG Unfiltered. We are going to talk about some obese kids, sacrifice, and calling out the BS that most parents are being fed. So today I am joined by Sam. Sam Rodriguez is the guy helping busy parents lose fat without giving up their families or living on treadmills. We're going to deep dive into some parenting and the real work that it takes to change. So,
Yes, sir.
Sam, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I've been, lifting and in the gym for like 10 years. I have a background in powerlifting, been doing some bodybuilding myself, and then really started with just helping some friends and family, get into shape. Help one of my friends lose like 45 pounds with just eating better and just his daily steps. And then decided to take it more seriously with the coaching to try to be able to help more people out, really. So that's where I'm at right now.
So is that something that do you feel like you kind of fell into it? Like it wasn't really a planned situation, or is it something that like was always kind of in the back of your mind and you never really just committed to it? Or like what was
Yeah,
that
more like
like for
that. More
you?
like I was like, oh, maybe I should try to do this, but I had that that mindset of like, oh, there's always I need to learn more. I need to learn more. But then I realized I actually know quite a bit, so I should probably start helping people.
Well, I deal with that regularly and I talk about it all the time, especially and for those that don't know, we are both in ECA, so we are both in the same mentorship.
Yeah,
And I don't know if you feel the same way, but half the time when people respond to questions in there, I'm like, man, I really went from being like the top of the food chain right back down to the bottom as far as like
yeah,
knowledge and just it's insane. But I love it. I love it so much.
yeah. There's just so much to learn.
Yeah,
It's
it's
crazy.
crazy. It
Yeah.
really is. And so Sam, you've said cardio isn't the answer. So what do parents really need? What is the thing that you focus on?
Really just better like lifestyle habits. Like even for me, like when I got like really lean a few years ago, I think I was only doing like maybe 20 minutes of cardio a few times a week. Most of it was just steps. Like people really don't realize how important it is just to bring up their NEAT. Like just getting more steps makes a huge difference.
I agree. I try to push that
Yeah.
all the time. Steps is, I think, the first place I start alongside like tracking food with most people.
Yeah, that's like I said, like with my friend, like just changing his diet to him eating better and then him getting his 10 to 12,000 steps every day, you know, that was like all it took. So like definitely need to start there and manipulate like that's what I like to do is try to get their diet dialed in and once they're eating really good and then they're really nailing their steps, if that's still not moving anything, then we can add in some cardio. Yeah.
So how often is it that you prescribe cardio for parents, especially?
It's really actually right now I don't have any parents doing cardio. It's just the people that are working like the 9 to 5 where they're kind of struggling to get their daily steps in. Then I have them add the cardio in.
Yeah, and even then it's usually just like walking on a treadmill or something like that, right? Or like going for a
Yeah,
walk around the neighborhood. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Like one of my clients, he wants to get better at running, so then he'll go for on some runs. But that's like his own like specific goal that he wants to get better at. I'm not like I wouldn't have prescribed that unless that was like his thing was to get better at running.
I run into that all the time where people think that the only solution to fat loss, especially parents for some reason, it seems, is running. Like that seems to be like the solution
Yeah,
in people's minds is like, if I just run, I won't be fat. And it's like, there's so much more that goes into it.
yeah,
But so, okay. So as a father and a coach,
yeah.
I've always said that obese children is parental abuse. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. I'd have to probably agree with you because it's just, but at the same time, I don't know if it'd be really abuse because usually like the parents just don't know any better. Like they don't know like what good nutrition is. Like that's just how they're eating. So then that's what they're going to feed their kids, which sucks for the kids because they're not going to learn any better either. But like that's where we just have to try to if I can get a hold of them and then show them what they should be eating, then it'll be better for their kids also.
Yeah.
Because then once the parents learn, what they should be eating, then that's going to change, and then obviously then they're going to feed the kids the better food also.
Yeah.
But
I think
usually,
I think there's a balance to be made there because I think as a parent, and I'm speaking as someone who is not a parent, right?
yeah,
So it's a little bit of an outside point of view. But I feel like, as a parent, if you see your child is starting to struggle, nutritionally, physically, whatever it is, I think you should take that upon yourself to figure out what the problem is. And I also think in today's age, it's very easy to find out that McDonald's for your kid twice a week is not ideal, you know?
yeah,
Things like I think there is a limit of like, do they need to know exactly like a macro breakdown for a child? Like, no, absolutely not. But like we need to start implementing some fruits and vegetables and home cooked meals, I think is huge, especially for busy families, because that is something that I grew up with. Being the oldest child in the house as well, I was oftentimes responsible for making dinner for my little brothers. And like there wasn't always great options in the house, you know what I mean? And as kids, we kind of fall back on the easiest option. So it's what's frozen that I can throw in the microwave or in the oven,
yeah,
or, making pasta, grilled
yeah.
cheese, stuff
I
like
was gonna
that,
say
that
like
like,
mac and cheese from the box.
exactly, which like gas, super good,
Yeah,
but you're gonna feel terrible afterwards, but
yeah,
super good to eat
yeah.
taste wise. Okay, so as far as parents, what do you think should be the first step for parents listening who want to make sure that they're not only taking care of themselves, but setting up a good foundation for their children?
Yeah, definitely starts with like the diet and nutrition. I mean, when I say diet, I don't mean like necessarily even losing fat. I mean a diet as in like that's what you're eating every day. Like that is your diet, you know what I'm saying? But you don't have to even be like that specific about it, like with the macro breakdown, just making just better food choices. It's going to be hard for you to like not lose weight if that's your goal, if you're eating like whole foods, like if you're just eating beef and fish and eggs and potatoes, unless you're, I mean, just make sure you're not cooking it in like a bunch of oil, of course.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I cook all of my stuff in coconut oil, the
Oh
ghee
yeah,
butter,
coconut oil is really good. Coconut oil is different. That's really good for you. I mean, like don't like deep fry
your seed
everything in like
oils.
vegetable, yeah,
Yeah,
vegetable oil. Yeah, don't do that.
absolutely. That's something that's a whole nother topic we could go down on as fried foods and stuff, especially
Yeah.
when it comes to children specifically, I think, because, those kind of foods do trigger like dopamine releases
Hmm.
and wind up you're literally addicting your child at a young age to poor nutrition is
Yeah.
really like what it comes down to. So we could go on forever on
Yeah.
that, I'm sure. But let's dive into the parenthood aspect a little bit because like I
Hmm.
said, I'm not a parent. Your whole or the majority, I'm assuming, of your clientele is parents, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say like
At least.
probably yeah, more than half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did fatherhood change your coaching? Like how do you think that's affected the way you approach things?
It definitely gave me a better insight on like because obviously before I had my son, I could spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym because I had the time. But now I have to be way more efficient with my workouts. Like I only have like 45 minutes to an hour to work out because I'll put him down for a nap and then try to get all that done and plus some other stuff while he's asleep. So that's what I like, and that's what I take in consideration when I program is to make the workouts as efficient as possible so they can get like good quality stimulus in a short amount of time.
Yeah, you don't need to be going balls to the wall for an hour and a half to get a good workout.
Yeah,
So what do most parents get wrong about having quote unquote no time?
I think a lot of it is that they think they have to spend that much time in the gym. But the other thing is like I try to make it that's why I like having them send me their exercises so I can like review their form is I want to make sure that they once they get the form down they can push the intensity to make like the actual hard sets like most effective. Is I
Yeah,
usually
make
only
sure they get the most
program
out of it.
a couple like to like 1 to 3 sets per exercise to also save time, but I want to make sure that they're actually pushing themselves hard enough to be able to grow the muscle in that with those sets. Because I think a lot of times, they like everyone does like this the same like 3 sets of 10 or 4 sets of 10, but a lot of it's
Yeah.
like it's not hard sets. You need to you can work up. Obviously you need to do your warm up or feeder sets or whatever you want to call it, and then actually get to the really like hard sets where like from rep one it's hard, and then you're still gonna do like eight.
I gotta say there's something about that. I see And I see it in my clients because I just stopped in-person coaching as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I see it in my clients all the time is that they're like, oh, well, I was prescribed 10 reps. I did 10 reps. I'm good. And then
Yeah,
they don't really like try to progress themselves further, if that makes
yeah,
sense. Like without having someone there to go, you're stronger than that. I feel like there's a lot of self-belief that like they don't think they can do it, especially, and I do notice this more in women for whatever the reason, but I also see it the most in women, like how much they glow after they like push themselves, you know what I mean? And they get so like a euphoric feeling almost of like, wow, I really did that.
yeah, yeah,
So I do think there's a huge mental component to pushing yourself, to not only just like checking that box, but I did something hard today. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I think
definitely.
especially as parents, like I think it's important for your kids to see you doing that.
Oh yeah, that for sure. That's
So
why,
what
like, oh,
so
sorry,
what
what
do
were you
your
gonna
kid no
say?
problem. What do your kids see you doing daily and why does that matter?
Yeah, I mean, well, my son, he's only 15 months old, no, wait, 16 months now. But, yeah, I mean, like I said, like, half the time I'm working out, like, while he's napping, but, like, with my wife's home, then I can work out while he's awake, and then he'll try to be in here doing stuff with me.
But we love that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Other than like, I don't want to, you're kind of in the way, but
yeah.
yeah, your kids don't need a perfect role model. And I think
Mhm.
that's what a lot of parents kind of run into. They need a consistent one. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So, along with being consistent, obviously comes fat loss in our line of work.
yeah.
So, how do your clients lose fat with minimal cardio? Because I know we talked about steps.
Hmm.
What is, for someone listening, what is ground zero? Where do they start?
If they're just barely starting, I like to just have like them get in the habit of at least like 8,000 steps a day. And then once they get in the habit of getting more steps, because usually everyone like starts, they don't realize they're only walking like 2 or 3,000 steps a day. So that's why I like to do at least 8,000 just to get them in the habit of like going out and getting steps or just getting up and moving around more. And then I can move it up to 10. I like 10. That's a pretty good number for most people. And then if I really need to, then I'll go up to like 12,000.
I
Or I
usually
have,
start with like 8 to 10 myself
yeah,
as like a goal for people to reach. I think
yeah,
that's a beautiful starting point. And then yeah, I'm the same way and I run into the same thing as far as like people really don't sorry, my cat's losing her mind.
you're good.
People really don't realize either A, how little they're moving. It's both ends of the extremes on the spectrum, right? So people either don't realize how little they're moving or how much they're moving, or they
Yeah,
don't realize how little they're eating or how much they're eating, or
yeah,
how little they're stressed or how much they're stressed, because people have come to accept their current routines and lives as their version of like homeostasis, right?
yeah,
Because everything is perspective. Your perspective is your reality. And I run into it a lot with veterans, especially when we're talking about like, well, how is your sleep? And they're like, 10 out of 10 haven't slept that great in years. And it's like, oh, okay. How long did you sleep for? And they're like, 6 whole hours. And I only
yeah,
woke up 4 times. And it's like, you haven't experienced a good night's rest.
yeah,
And like that's so I think that a lot of people struggle with that too, is kind of trying to understand where they're at versus where they should be and what the true like quote unquote normal should be for them.
yeah.
And so kind of got off track a little bit with that one,
You're
but
good.
as far as people getting started, what belief did you hold early on in your journey that you now reject?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I was also one of those people that like thought you had to do like when I first started like working out and stuff, I was also like running because I thought that was like the best like
Hmm.
form of cardio. And I also like did the mistake of like I would go for like a 3 mile run before I lifted weights.
That's I run into people say that a lot. It's like if you care more about like running, then you should run before you lift weights. If you care
Mhm.
more about building muscle, then you should lift before you run. And I think that's a very like very dumbed down way of putting it
Yeah.
because it's not entirely wrong, but it's not really correct either because you're when you do both of them together, you're kind of half-assing both of them.
Yeah.
which us as coaches, it's a lot easier to like see. And like when we're dealing with like bodybuilders, that's a lot easier to handle because it's all going to be steps for the most part.
Yeah.
But, as far as like not needing 90 minutes in the gym, that's a part of that is because people will show up to the gym, lift for an hour and a half, and then be completely gassed, have an empty tank, and then be like, now I need to do cardio. Or
Yeah.
vice versa. You know what I mean? So I think majority people need to realize you only need to exercise 30 minutes, maybe 45, 3 times a week, especially for parents, 3 times a week is plenty.
Yeah. That's what I like say when if people want to work with me is like as long as you can work out like at least twice a week, then you're going to see results. Cuz cuz like I said the yeah, you just need to lift weights like that much and then also about the like the cardio thing, that's why like if you can obviously separate the cardio from the weightlifting so your body knows like what to adapt to, but also cuz you want to build the muscle so you can raise like your basal metabolic rate, which is going to raise your like total daily energy expenditure too, which is then going to, help you not have to cut your calories as much when you're
Yeah,
trying to
and
lose fat.
in simple terms for people, that basically just means the more muscle you put on your body, the more you can eat without gaining weight.
Exactly, yes.
Which like makes it super like when you put it
Yeah.
like that, people are like, oh,
Yeah,
all right, like, I wanna eat more. Who doesn't want to eat more food?
exactly.
But okay, so quick pause. If you're a parent listening and this already is hitting for you, you're like, yes, I need someone who understands being a parent.
Yeah.
Sam, where can they find you?
Sam Rodriguez fitness on Instagram. Yeah.
And then anyone that's interested, I am also going to be dropping a free cheat sheet to help you build sustainable habits as well as a macro cheat sheet to help people kind of get started.
Nice.
Why parents stay stuck? Because I think parents run into it the most out of anyone else. So why do parents get stuck? What are influencers doing that's, more harmful than good? Let's start there.
Okay. I mean, it's definitely challenging to still like be active every day, especially when you have like a newborn. Well, I did take a couple months off when my son was born because we were just like barely sleeping. So I mean that of course that makes sense because
Yeah,
you're not going to make any
sleep is the
progress if you're
most
not
important.
sleeping.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
once you can finally like once we got him into a routine and stuff, that's when I could start working out again. But that whole time, even though I wasn't like working out, I was still trying to have my nutrition in check. I wasn't eating like crazy. That's it's just like I said, it's just really just making better like once you can learn how to make better lifestyle choices, it just really helps a lot. And I get it, like it is kind of hard to still manage everything like working because I still work. Besides a coach,
Yeah.
like I still work on the railroad 12 hours at night. My wife works 12 hours during the day, so
Yeah, again, for those listening, Sam does literally mean
yeah.
working on the railroad.
Yeah.
That is literally what he does. He doesn't mean like as a man going to work on the railroad. No, he actually works
Hey,
on the
works.
railroad.
So, like, I get it. It's hard, to do this stuff, but I want to be that good role model for my son and show him, that I can still get all this done. I'm with him all day, and then we'll switch off. I'll go to work all night, and then, do it again for a few days. Luckily, my wife only works 3 days right now, so, but still, I mean,
Yeah,
I get
I
their
don't know how.
struggle, but if we can make this work, you can make this work.
No. So what? So
Oh
you would
wait,
say
one
that
more thing,
parent?
because my other like my sister, I'm also coaching my sister, and she's a stay-at-home mom, and she homeschools her two kids, and so she'll have them do her schoolwork and then do a workout, and then well one of her sons he's
That's
younger, so
awesome.
she kind of has him do something, but then in like half of her workout videos, he's just like playing with his trucks in the background as she's doing
Sweet.
her lunges.
Sweet. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah,
but even for kids, that's cognitive exercise. You know what I mean?
yeah,
That's like they need that too. I think that's awesome.
it is
I
being
love hearing that.
Yeah, she's definitely being a good role model because she was saying that youngest one says like, "Oh, I need to do my workout now," and then he'll go and step on her step a few times, and he said, "I did it."
Sweet. That's perfect, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly how parents can kind of integrate their own workout time into a playtime for their kids. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
a chore for everybody. You know what I mean? It can
Yeah.
be a time for you to spend quality time with your kids. Because, like you said, her kids are loving seeing her doing it. Your kids
Mhm.
want to come hang out with you when you're doing it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
and he's just over a year, a little under a year and a half, and he's already picking up on it, like even more than we realize, I think.
Yeah, and then once you get started, you just need to have like that mindset shift of like it being something you like have to do or a chore to something you like want to do and you enjoy it. And that
Yeah,
makes it a lot easier too.
I think so. And I think that goes
Yeah.
along with finding what works for you.
Yeah.
Because if your program isn't something you can stick to, whether it's habits, nutrition, exercise,
Mhm.
it's all going to fall apart. If it's
Yeah,
something
that's
you can't regularly stick to, you're going to crumble.
yeah, that's what I try to work on too, is like I try to make, my like meal plans like things my clients are going to enjoy eating. It's not chicken and broccoli. It's like going to be like like protein smoothies, or I'll do like Greek yogurt stuff that's like more of a dessert that they're eating, or
I
you
love my Greek yogurt meal. That's so nice.
know, and then the workouts too, like I'll work with them to see like how much time do you really have in the week to work out, and then I'll program around that. Because sometimes they'll say, "Oh yeah, I can work out every day," and then that's what I had with one client. He's like, "I can work out every day," and I make this like super great, push pull legs upper lower, and then
Yep.
he's working like 12 hours every day, and I'm like, "You don't have time to do this." He's like, "No," and I was
Yeah,
like, "I'm gonna make
your
you."
body doesn't have the time
I'm like, I'm
either.
gonna make you a full body workout. That way, anytime you have time to go to the gym, you'll hit everything. And then even if you just go twice, you've still hit everything twice.
It's funny. I actually just had to do the exact opposite because
Oh, really?
one of my clients is deployed right now, and we didn't
Okay.
know exactly like what his situation was gonna be.
Hmm.
So I had him on a 3-day full body rotation because we didn't
Yeah.
know what he was gonna be able to do. As soon as we found out there was dumbbells, I scheduled it all completely around a dumbbell workout basically.
Hmm.
But it turns out he can work out every day. So I was like, okay, well,
Okay.
that's not going to work. So I actually just switched him onto a push, pull, legs, accessories, and calisthenics.
Well, that's good. Yeah.
So especially since he's deployed, like you can do pull ups everywhere.
Also, you don't want to give someone like that like a full body thing because they're just gonna do full body every day, like nonstop.
Right, right,
So you
exactly.
gotta give them you gotta give them limitations. Because I'm like my one of my best friends is like a veteran, and that's what I had to work at. Like I had to tell him to take rest days because he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going like every day," and I'm like, "Dude, you need to calm down."
That is one thing I see working with veterans is like they want to just bulldoze it. Whatever it
Yeah,
is, they want to just blow a hole in the wall and push through it.
yeah,
And that's just not. And I get it because that
yeah,
was me. And for such a long time, I was on a 6-day rotation, working out an hour every day, 6 days a week,
yeah.
forcing myself to take that one day off. And then, as soon as a big transitional period happened and I had any sort of additional cortisol and stress and all of that
Mhm.
stuff, my body would just inflame.
Yeah,
But so yeah, especially wrapping this back up to the parents, this isn't about just losing 20 pounds. It really is about breaking generational cycles because, like you said, we weren't all brought up with good nutritional information.
no, I definitely wasn't.
Yeah, I wasn't either. I don't know what your experience was growing up, but I know personally, like, my household was full of soda and chips and all of the easy stuff to just hand your kids here, go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, mine was a little. I mean, my mom was a little bit diet soda.
Well, my mom had that for herself, but my mom used to hate it because anytime she used to try to diet, whether it was,
Mhm.
the Jenny Craig diets or
Mhm.
whatever was on TV that month,
Yeah,
she would get like the diet ice creams and things like that, which are all still delicious because it's all still sugar
yeah,
for the most part. But all the kids, we would all eat them because it was ice cream in the house
yeah.
that we didn't normally have. So I always thought that was funny. And I guess that could be another hard part for parents is that, it's really not just you that's
Hmm.
changing your routines and your habits and things like that. If you are a family who is not integrated into a lifestyle like this, like you can't do it by yourself,
Yeah,
realistically. Like you can't be the only one in the house eating healthy.
yeah, yeah,
It's not gonna work.
yeah. Exactly. You got to make sure like everyone will kind of be on. At least your partner will be on board with it too. But that's why like I try to make like have them have meals, like make meals that is healthy, but the family can still enjoy. Also,
Well,
like
and
the
that's that.
dinner is gonna fit their meal plan, but like everyone can like it'll be enough so like everyone can eat it, and then it's still like everyone's gonna enjoy it.
Yeah, and that's I run into it too, is like it's almost hard to explain that you don't need all of the protein products. You don't
Mhm.
need protein pasta and protein this and protein cereal and
Yeah,
protein that. Like, don't worry about that and just whole foods.
yeah,
If your food has one ingredient and it either had a mom and a dad or it came out of the ground, then you can eat it. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
That's a
That's
that's an easy way to put it. And also, I know like especially for moms, they don't want to have to feel like they're cooking meals separately for themselves. That's like another
Yep.
big thing.
I
So
do notice that moms care a little bit more about that, where dads,
yeah,
I find, will be like, I don't care, they can eat whatever they want. I'm gonna I'm gonna eat my chicken. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well,
So that's
usually what
another
I
thing is like chicken and rice doesn't have to be plain chicken and plain rice. Like you don't have to be eating boiled chicken or something crazy. Like
no, yeah,
make it delicious. Like people always say they can't stick to their diets because it like doesn't taste good or it's plain and it's boring. Learn how to cook. You don't even really need to learn how to cook. It's just find a seasoning or a sauce that fits your plan that you
yeah.
enjoy.
Yeah, that's what I was doing for a while. I was like meal prepping and I was like just smoking a bunch of chicken. It was so good.
So let's rapid fire here a little bit. What is your favorite go-to dad meal that still fits your macros? So do you have like a snack that you fall back on or anything that you can kind of go straight to and times rushing between appointments and things like that?
Oh yeah, definitely like my Greek yogurt is like the easiest thing to make for sure. But I usually always have, some like chicken prepped. Because I'll just bake like chicken with this seasoning that I really like. And so I always have that like on hand as well if I need something. Those are like
I think that's
my
a
two
really good way to
things.
do it.
Yeah.
I found if I haven't used them in a while just because of all the added shit in it, but the like instant oatmeal packets and you can get like the different flavors. I know like the apple and cinnamon one, if you mix that with Greek yogurt, it tastes like an apple pie. And it's so
Oh,
good.
really? I haven't
It's
tried that.
so
I didn't
good.
even think of that. That's good.
I did
I usually
like an
just get like
overnight
the
oats with it, so I like
Oh,
mix it
really?
in like the night before and it makes it like a real thick like it's good.
You have to send me that recipe. That sounds really good. I could
Absolutely. I'll
probably
do
do it
that
with like
after
because
this.
I have like the old fashioned oats. That doesn't even take that long, really. Like the
Yeah,
between the
it's
instant oatmeal and the old fashioned oats, it only takes like 30 seconds more in the microwave.
Yeah, it's really no different. Like I don't know exactly what it is that makes it instant versus like other oats. I don't really know. I
I
would have
think
to
they
look
just
into
cut it
that.
down more, I guess. I don't know.
But what is the funniest excuse that a client gave that actually turned into a win for you and them?
Oh, that's a good question.
I got some thinkers. I got some thinkers in there.
Yeah. Um, well, I don't know if it's an excuse, but like I just like had to adjust one of my clients' like meal plans. And I was like, I think it'd be beneficial if you have less carbs right now. And he was like, "Oh, perfect. I hate eating the carbs anyways." And I was like, "Why didn't you tell me that in the first place?"
Did he have did he have a reason?
No, well, I already knew he like didn't like eating fruit, so I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I can't really for the refeeds. That's going to be kind of hard to push things up if you can't eat fruit." But then
Who
he said
doesn't like
even like,
fruit?
"I don't." Yeah. So even because I was like, "You need to do a refeed today based on your body temperatures." Like, and then I was like gonna be like, "Oh, have a bunch of. Oh, wait, just I guess have more rice."
Oh man. And that's one thing too is like my mom, like my family, my mom in particular definitely got more into the healthy side of things. I think I had a lot to do with that. Uh,
Hmm.
but like now she's into that. And so like instead of ordering pizza once a week for like a family pizza night, they
Hmm.
make pizza. And so
Hmm.
like doing like a homemade bread and
Yeah.
like from scratch, the health aspect of it,
Yeah.
it's so much better
That's so
than like
crazy
what you would
because
get from ordering a pizza.
yeah, that's crazy because that's what my mom does too now. Actually,
I think that's
yeah,
like the age group.
maybe. Yeah,
Like our moms were all just like, it's time to make sourdough.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
it's
she
kind of
does.
like
She's not that intense. She found like a super easy like bread dough recipe that she can do in like a few hours or something.
yeah,
Or
I
not
think I
bread, or
mean that's
pizza
the
dough,
way to go.
whatever. But you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, I picked up on it.
Yeah.
But that's I think it's the same because what's the stereotype? It's like men turn 30 and then they run a 5K.
Was
Yeah,
that?
or like sign up for like a half marathon. It's like the
Yeah,
midlife crisis now. Is
yeah,
instead of like buying a motorcycle, they like dive headfirst into fitness.
yeah.
I think that's funny. What are the top three things that every parent should track and the one that they should ignore?
See, top three, I would definitely say track your what you're eating, because like we've mentioned before, a lot of people like are totally like usually if they're not actually tracking, they're like way off on what they think they're eating.
Especially for like sauces.
That too, for sure. I would say track your steps every day, and then I don't know, for I want to say weight, but like that can be kind of negative for some people because they'll kind of focus too much on that. So that might be the third, but that might be something you could also ignore depending on the
I
kind of
think that
person.
depends on the person. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. See, for me, I would say the top three are steps,
Hmm.
food, sleep.
Sleep's a good one. Also,
Those are
like
those are my
water.
big ones.
Water's a decent
Mm-hmm.
one.
Because I
Yeah.
think a lot of people think they drink a ton of water and they don't.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So those are yours. Gonna be nutrition, water, and are you gonna go with sleep too?
I don't know, sleep or steps. That's hard.
I think it is because there's really so much, and it really does depend on the individual when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
Which does make our job hard, is because for 99% of the answers, when someone asks us something that's like overarching, the
Hmm.
answer is always gonna be it depends.
Yeah.
And
Especially like
if
when you're a parent with like young kids, like your sleep's not going to be the best. Like you try to sleep as much as you can, but it's going to be hard to get like 8 hours straight, especially if they're your kid's going through a sleep regression or they're still young and
yeah, you gotta feed them every three
feeding every
hours,
few hours.
like
Like it's
yeah.
going to be hard.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
only so much you can do there, but I think at those points, I would be willing to argue that it's almost more important
Hmm.
to track all your stuff so you really know where you're at.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah,
Because
for
I could,
sure.
I know for me personally, when I wind up taking, either a nap in the middle of the day or if I didn't sleep well the night before, like I'm kind of in this fog. And it's very
Hmm.
easy for me to, forget something or skip over something. So I think having that ability to track everything as well as you can,
Yeah.
tracking everything that's going on, I think could be a great step for parents, especially new parents,
Yeah.
to kind of keep them on track.
Yeah.
So, some final takeaways here, because we're coming up on 40 minutes. We are raising the next generation, right?
Hmm.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's a big part of it for you, from what it sounded like. What's one thing you wish you knew earlier about fitness or parenting what one thing you wish you knew earlier about fitness or parenting? We'll just leave it at that.
I'm not gonna answer the parenting one because I'm still learning because of but for fitness, I wish I would have just started sooner. I wish I would have started in high school. 'Cause I didn't start till like I was in my mid 20s, and like I knew I think I just got discouraged because I was just like such a scrawny kid. But I wish I would have just like actually just started because it was all like there like around me with like some of my friends like lifting and whatnot. But I was just like nah, and now I'm like dang, I really should have started.
I think that's all of us, is we're all just like, man, if I started 5 years earlier,
Yeah.
like places that I could be, like all these things. I think it's similar to parenting in the
Yeah.
aspect of like you can never really be 100% prepared for anything. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah,
Like
for
you
sure.
really just have to kind of fall into it and
Yeah.
kind of just figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything for the people other than don't raise fat kids. Do you have anything that might be a little more in depth for them?
That's a good one. Definitely if you want a coach that's gonna like understand like your struggles and what you're going through, then reach out to me.
Absolutely. I do think
Yeah.
it's important to have a coach that you genuinely like align with,
Yeah.
and someone that understands what you're going through, because I can relate to people up to a certain point, but realistically when we're talking about like having kids and working around, your family and that kind of a balance,
Hmm.
I personally don't have to do that. I can make assumptions, I can help you through it,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to personally be able to, relate to that on a one-to-one kind of level. So,
Yeah.
absolutely, if you are a parent and you are looking for someone who, understands you and can really guide you through the whole parenting thing and the fitness thing,
Yeah.
because he's been there too. Sam is great. And again, you can find him at samrodriguez.fitness on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. And until next time, we'll see you later.
See you guys.